So, we have an ongoing fusion event for Mother Sibel at the same time that we have a clan versus clan tournament with double objective points for the Fire Knight tournament, but they gave us a special conditions dragon tournament with epic champions only. So what do we focus on here a little bit? I guess it really depends on which type of player you are. Maybe you decided to drop the fusion. So in today's video, I'm going to go over a couple of teams for you guys for this specifically, as well as caution you guys a little bit for what's going on in the fusion. And I also want to give a huge shout out to a certain player who has achieved, I think, a free-to-play record. All that said, let's check it out. So let me first start with a huge shout out to an amazing free-to-play player. Hopefully you guys still remember Mais. He was at some point the record holder for the fastest free-to-play Lydia about 9 months ago. Since then, that record has been beaten, but still at the time it was the record. However, about 7 months ago when the Doom Tower was implemented, he was the first free-to-play player to complete the hard Doom Tower in the first 12 days. And since then, he's been absolutely perfect on the Doom Tower to a point where he completed all the secret rooms on time, which means that he technically is the first free-to-play player to get Gomlok Skyhide. All right, so this is the third champion in the, I guess, first three from the hard Doom Tower. I myself skipped a ton of secret rooms. I got lazy, decided not to do them, but he did not. He literally built those really annoying teams and he got it done. So huge shout out to him. He's probably going to be one of the first free-to-play players to reach Rumon to Drake's Blood, so we will keep following his progress. You guys can support this player by going to his Twitch channel. He does have one, so please go on there, follow him, go ahead and ask him some questions. He is very helpful. We'll provide you guys with some account help, and being a free-to-play player, he tends to have that kind of approach where, you know, we're trying to be as efficient as possible. In case you guys are doubting if this is the same player that it was before, you see up here Bad Mais. You see his player number 16337270. Let me quickly go back in here to show you that it is the same player, 16337270. So guys, please go and show some support for this content creator. So let's first start with a quick recap of the fusion before we go to the updated plan. As for myself, I am sitting on a couple of the rares needed for the fusion of the epics. I did pull an extra or two Ashwalker, I forget. Health Freak, I have a couple as well. Lumberer, I should have another one today from one of the events and tournaments. So overall, I am pretty much on track according to my own plan. For the tournaments, Ice Golem is done, but then we have this special conditions tournament, which I'll get back to in a second. And then for the events, artifact enhancement, a little bit more to do today, which is sort of what I had predicted. And then for the champion training event, so this one is harder, and I did say in my plan I wanted to get to Cornelia, which is going to require more energy. But now with this special conditions tournament with the lifesteal gear frenzy, is it better to drop the plan of Cornelia and just focus on farming some gear? Because I would assume it's probably a really good event for almost 90% of you guys, right? But for endgame players like myself, life gear is not as important anymore, so there is a good chance I will just stick to my original plan. Now let's go check it out. And after updating the values, it's not hard to see that this is getting harder. We saw it with the champion training event, we saw it before with the champion chase tournament, we saw it with the classic arena takedown. So far we've had 2 dungeons at 1800 points, which means that the next 2 might have one at 2000 points and one roughly at 1500, or so we hope. As for the champion training tournament, it might be harder. It might also be harder for the next 2 Dungeon Divers event, and we're pretty sure it is going to be as hard for the summon rush to come, which means that as of today, you kind of need to make a decision. Do I keep pushing in this champion training event to get Cornelia if you want her, or do I focus on this special conditions tournament, which I've identified down here for you guys? It doesn't really overlap with anything else, which is a decent time to spend your extra energy or more energy towards that tournament if you want that lifesteal gear. However, like I said before, if you want to focus on the clan versus clan, you get technically more points for doing the Fire Knight. So this dragon tournament is a little bit of a trap if you're focusing on your clan versus clan stuff, okay? But for myself, like I said, I'm sticking to the champion training event. I want to see if I can get to 12,000 points before this ends. I'm doing relatively well, but I did spend some saved up energy, and I will be spending more saved up energy to get to there. Even if I end up spending some gems to get Cornelia, I also get this Mother Sibel at the same time. It's a decent trade-off, okay? Gems for a legendary and a good epic champion is a good trade-off. But now let's go over some Dragon 20 speed teams with epics only. Starting with the teams that include Seer. Obviously, if you want to have speed runs, it's most likely Seer or Royal Guards. All right, so overall here, what we're doing is the same concept, but we're just not resetting the skills. We're using AoE decreased defense from Zargala, which is strong affinity here, so you need less crit rate. Then we have our buffs from Archmage Helmet, as well as some crowd control, which is great for the second wave. Then we have Seer to nuke, and we have Mausoleum Mage as our support champion, more buffs, but also a heal to kind of like prevent us from dying on the boss. And then we have a dedicated Poisoner, which is kind of only there for the boss fight, although because this is Dragon 20, we do deal a lot of damage with the enemy max HP skills. All right, so this one is roughly about 2 minutes. Our Occult Brawler, is in lifesteal gear, and the way his passive works makes him a decent Poisoner, even though he is weak affinity. So that's pretty much it, right? So let's fast forward to the end here to kind of show you guys how this finishes. So 1 minute and 53 seconds. So in this one, we replaced Mausoleum Mage with Broadma, and we replaced Occult Brawler with Feint. Both of these champions are also somewhat geared speed tuned the same way as the other champions, except for Feint in this case, which is a lot faster because she's in my Unkillable or Batman Forever comp in the clan boss. She's at like 247. Therefore, she ends up taking a turn before. It's not the end of the world. We can still nuke these waves the same because the combo to nuke the waves is pretty much just Archmage, Zargala, and Seer, and we have a shield set on Broadma to give us a few more buffs for this to work. We also have an extra buff from Broadma itself. So I think that overall this is really safe as well because we have a Reviver. Therefore, we shouldn't really be in any risk of this failing. It's not necessarily perfect for the waves. It might take a little bit longer from one run to the next, but overall this is it. And then for the boss himself, even though we are weak affinity with Feint, it's a decent risk to take. She is in Relentless gear. She does also have the decrease attack. Therefore, as long as that is applied, we should be able to survive here. And if we do lose some champions, then again, I can revive them with Broadma. But I think Feint is slightly better because once she hits hard, she has really insane gear on my account. Therefore, probably a go-to team that I could be using. However, here's another one that is going to have, instead of Seer, 2 Royal Guards, which can also work pretty well, but I get it. Maybe some of you guys don't have 2 Royal Guards. I do have 2 built on my account because they're so amazing when they nuke like this. I mean, you know, it's pretty easy to nuke the waves as well, okay? So Seer is one thing, but there is a better chance that you will get 2 Royal Guards before you get a Seer. Now, there are obviously other builds that will include just other champions, but it's not going to be really a speed run, right? So it's either Seer or Royal Guards. I don't really think there's anything else that can make this a lot faster. You can go for AoE poisons, you can go for AoE HP burns. I mean, you could use a solo Eurogrim if you have that champion now, but I don't have that champion and I don't have really other champions built for this on my account. So let's fast forward to the end here as well to kind of show just how fast this one is. And what's great about this Dragon 20 is that your enemy max HP skills will continue to work just fine. So this one is 1 minute and 37 seconds. So overall, pretty decent. Let's go check out the gear and masteries of these champions. Starting with Seer with these total stats in a Savage set. Not easy to do, I get it, but hey, I am a little bit more end game now, therefore she gets my best possible gear. For the masteries, we have Flawless Execution for the tier 6. Then for Broadma, we have these masteries right there. I'm not sure why I have Fearsome Presence. I think I had a different set on him before. I did say before he had 2 buffs or 1 extra buff, but it's actually both of them are redundant. The increased crit rate and increased speed will overlap with Archmage Helmet, but he is in a shield set with these total stats. So as a buffer, obviously faster than your debuffers and your Seer, obviously, right? So let's keep going with the next one. We're going to do our Mausoleum Mage. So this guy is just kind of like full speed ahead. It was tuned for something else. I don't use him that much anymore. All of his skills are done as well. This is sort of what we really want here because of the extra buffs. And then for the tier 6, we have Unshakable, Zargala with Helm Smasher for the tier 6. All the skills are done. We really want her for the AoE, decreased defense, but also Devastate, which might trigger the A3 in full Cruel setup. Obviously, try and give her as much damage as possible to make this faster, and I am at 85% crit rate. Then let's keep going here with, of course, our Archmage Helmet. I absolutely love this champion. I do have a dedicated build video for this guy on my channel in a stun set with these stats right here. High resistance, high accuracy, that is for the hard Doom Tower, with the skills completely done, and then Fearsome Presence for the tier 6. Up next, we're going to do not one, but two Royal Guards. One of them has Flawless Execution. The other one has Helm Smasher. I believe I will eventually change this to War Master as I'm trying to build that Fire Knight 25 speed team, but I am short of a specific accessory, a Blood Shield on one of the champions. All the skills are done. This guy is rocking a decent amount of speed in Savage gear. He can also afford to be at 85% crit rate. And then for the second one, also in Savage gear, but a lot slower and kind of leftover gear, so not exactly perfectly optimized, but it works. And then finally, we have our Fane here in Relentless gear with a decent amount of speed, but basically the right amount of speed for my clan boss team. Like I said before, all the skills are done. Masteries, we have War Master, of course. Oh, and I almost forgot, we have Occult Brawler with War Master. All the skills are done. Like I said, we kind of like him for the poison on his passive. It isn't really affected by affinity. He is in lifesteal gear, somewhat tuned for the clan boss. He needs a little bit more speed, but I don't really use him anymore, so he's kind of just there for crit and I guess those occasional teams. So overall, there you have it, guys.